So I started, as well as teaching the physical karate, I started to educate people, give people stuff to educate themselves. I started to include judo, wrestling, Thai, you know.
And this was when? Back in...
This is all before the UFC.
Yeah, late 80s, was it?
Yeah, before the UFC had been invented, I started to do animal day sessions, which was, let's forget about the rules, let's get rid of the rules, let's just have it in the dojo and see what happens. Okay, you're my best fighter, let's take the gi off, let's put you in a cagoule and a pair of clumsy boots, let's see how you do. And you'd watch your best fighter get strangled by a cord on his coat, and you'd watch, you know, somebody who can't breathe properly because he's got like an anorak on or something, or he can't maneuver himself properly because he's got shoes on. And you'd make people start from odd positions, you make people start from different positions. So we started to develop restriction training, things that would mimic a real situation. We started to get as close to a real situation as possible to give people a chance to look at this is how it's going to be. We started to do things like exposure training. And I didn't realise later on this is an old shamanic training. This is something they used to do in the very early days of, lots of the kind of new age, the kind of serious end Gurdjieff type training, where exposure training was like where we just get people. I'd get you sat on a chair and I'd get someone in front of you just posturing, shouting, swearing, screaming, just to get you used to that kind of attack. People were used to doing physical stuff, but they weren't used to
the pre-fight.
They weren't used to the pre-fight because they didn't realise that sound is touch, just the same as me touching you with my fingers. Sound touches you. So people were being beaten by lesser fighters who were very good at sound. So I'd seen people who couldn't fight the tidy in the bath, but they were beating legends just with sound, just with posturing, just with mudras, just by kicking off. They didn't even know what they were doing, but they knew it worked.
That was a big part of the fear as well. Yeah. When people used to come to your animal day, or when they want to go into that training, because you were training them for what is now called reality self-defense. Yeah. That was a big thing. I remember it was, I don't know if it was you who made this expression. I think it was. You said to me, "You are only as strong as your weakest link." Yeah. And that was a big part of people's training. If you're good with a right cross, don't do it anymore.
So we would do
train something that you're weak at.
Yeah, we would. They call it in judo. They call it giving up the Ipanyari. It means you've got a great technique for 6 months. Don't use that technique. You're good at Osoto. You're taking everyone over with Osoto. For 6 months, you can't use Osoto. It forces you to find a new technique, to develop a new technique. And of course, after 6 months, you've got a new technique, and you've still got Osoto. Yeah. So I say to people, okay, you're knocking everybody over with your hands, let's just grapple, or let's just kick, or let's just kick and grapple. Or actually, you're a good kicker, you're a good grappler, you're a good puncher, but you're not very good at the sonic level. So I remember one of my friends coming in. It was a big, reputable, it was a world-class kickboxer, but he'd come into our class. He was a massive lump, and he worked the doors. He was a really, really effective guy. And I remember everyone giving him a good fight. So we just took them to he took them to the level of sonic. He just postured and made a few mudras. Before he fought my best fighter, he just went, boom, just went like that. Right, fucking, here we go. Let's fucking go then. Let's fucking go.
And that energy just must have...
Bang, my fighter just fell apart because it was sonic. And this guy went in and just pulled him apart like it was nothing. And it was just because he took it to the psychological level. He used a sonic attack. He used voice. He used sound. It was really interesting to watch. That doesn't do anything if you can bypass it. But if you don't understand it...
Lee Morrison is fantastic at explaining that.
I think Lee Morrison is probably the leading combatives guy in the world now. He's an amazing guy.
He does it not just with volume as well. He will show how people will do it quietly and from different locations, from Scotland to England. But it's that same sentiment of
the intention,
inciting fear in someone just through sound.